Welcome to today's workshop. I'm going to show you how you can export your Unity Vuforia project to Android today. And I will also show you how you can have more than one image target in your Unity 3D Vuforia app. So you see already in the background, there is a Jackson Pollock painting that I appropriated for an image target. It is Echo number 25 from 1951. And we also have the image target that we used before from the Powell Hall parking lot that I'm showing you here as well. So let's get switched to the Unity view and we can get started with the workshop. So I'm back in my Unity 3D application, and as you can see, I'm using 3 image targets. One that actually you have seen in the little beginning video today is being augmented by a deer head, and then the 2 image targets that we have been using so far with the cracked asphalt in the streets and the parking lot around our building. The first thing I wanted to show you before we actually go into the Android export and build settings is how you can simultaneously trigger more than one image targets in your Unity 3D application. So in my case, I want to be ideally able to trigger all 3 of these when all 3 image targets are present in the camera image. So the only thing I really need to do in Unity 3D is I need to go to the AR camera in my hierarchy window on the left-hand side and then open the Vuforia configuration for the AR camera. And in here you will see that there's 2 settings, maximum simultaneous tracked in objects and tracked out objects, and both of these just need to increase to the number of image targets that I would like to have triggered simultaneously, ideally in my application. So in my case this would be 3, since I have these 3 image targets here. So I've just changed this number from 1 to 3, save this project one more time, and then I'm already ready to export it for the platform of my choice. Since this workshop is about the Android export, I will show you how to do this in the next step. I actually brought my Android device today, which is a Moto G5, but this should really be working with any Android device, tablet, cell phone, smartphone, of any kind, so if you just follow along this workshop, it should hopefully be a successful experience for you as well. First thing I need to do with my scene that I would like to export for the smartphone, for the Android device selected, I need to go to File, and I need to go into the Build Settings. And in my case, I already have Android selected, and you see that there's this little Unity cube next to Android, so this is a good sign. If you do this for the very first time, your window may be looking like this, so we'll just have to wait a little bit for the switching of the assets here. So it may just be the default platform that's selected here, which is PC, Mac or Linux. And so you would have to switch it to Android. So what you would do is you would, first of all, make sure that your currently open scene is included. So you'd go to Add Open Scenes, which gets your scene into the scene build window at the top here. Then you would click on Android and you would say Switch Platform. There could be a little problem here that the Switch Platform button is not highlighted and that you can't use it. You also wouldn't see the settings that I have here on the right-hand side, but you would basically see that there's no Android module that can be found and a little button that says here Install Android Module. So in that case, you would just have to do that. You would have to install your Android module and then close the Unity application, reopen it afterwards after you've installed it, and then follow these steps, and you'll be able to switch the platform like this. All right, so it needs to import a few assets again. And what you'll see here, there's a couple more images that I import as my assets. These I actually use for my custom icons that I created for my application. So that's also something new that we haven't done in any of the other workshops. And I'll show you in a moment also how to get these in here. The other thing you need to do, you need actually 2 more helper applications that allow you to push your content onto Android devices. The first of these helper applications is the Android SDK that you have to download and install. And you also have to install the most recent Java Development Kit, JDK API as well. So I'll quickly show you how you can do that before we continue in here. And I go to my web browser and type in Android SDK. If you're wondering where I get this URL from, you can basically click on the link at the bottom of this video in the comments section of this video, and you will get to the Android Studio and the SDK tools as well following this link. So I click on download Android Studio, and this is cross-platform compatible, so you can download it for your PC and or also for your Mac. So in my case, I would download it for the Mac. Click the download link, wait for the download, and then install the software. So that's the first piece of software that we need. The second piece of software is the latest Java JDK, Java Developer Toolkit. And again, the link for this can be found in the comments section of this video, so you can click on that as well. In here, you first have to accept the license agreement to the JDK, and then you need to find the platform of your choice and then follow the download link and install the JDK as well. So you see there's different versions for different platforms. Since I'm on the Mac here, I would download this one. PC users will be choosing one of these two, and then there's other versions for other operating systems as well. So download and install the JDK as well. And then we need, actually from both of these installs, we need path names and basically software paths that we have to put into Unity, so that while we compile the Android version of our app, the software Unity can basically make use of JDK and the Android Developers Toolkit as well. So the first one, the first path that we have to get into Unity is that to the Android SDK, and you would put it in Unity into the preferences. So you'd go to Unity, go to Preferences, and then under External Tools, you would have to scroll down a little bit, and you see I have both of these paths already in here, but I'll show you in a second how you can find them for your machine specifically. So this is the path for the Android SDK, which is usually in your username library folder, and then you go to Android SDK. But if you've just freshly installed the Android SDK, I show you another way how you can quickly find that. So you would need to open the SDK. Let me see. Basically Android Studio, this is what you downloaded. So let's just quickly open this software. You may have to do one more thing in this software as well, depending on the version of your operating system on your Android phone. So you go without actually even opening the software or getting to the user interface. So before you even create a new Android Studio project, you just go to Android Studio, Preferences. And in the Preferences, if these are not open already, you would go to Appearance and Behavior on the left-hand side, open this up. And then you would go to your path variables. Is that in here? No, sorry, it's in the System Settings. Open these up. And then you would go down to the Android SDK. And when you are at this link, so Appearance and Behavior, System Settings, Android SDK, you will get the Android SDK location for your specific system in here. And so what you do is you just copy this and then paste it into the Unity preferences. One more thing before we get out of Android Studio that I wanted to mention here that's very important is the different flavors of the Android operating system, or the different versions of the Android operating system that you would have to install, have installed on your system for this to work. You basically have to figure out for your specific Android device which of the Android versions is running on yours. So in my case, it is Android 7.0 Nougat. But you may have an older operating system or even a newer one. So in any case, if any of these are not installed, you would basically have to select them. And then when you are just doing it with the Android 6.0, just for demonstration purposes, then if you click on OK, it asks you to install these software components. So it will basically automatically download these components and install them for you, so you can use them in the Android SDK, but then also in Unity. So click to install this, okay. You see it's downloading. Right now I would download the components for the Android 6.0 operating system, and then you are ready to use it. Good, so it's downloading these components. We just say finish, and then you can already get out of the Android Studio. So with the path to your Android SDK in the clipboard still, so remember you copied that, you basically go back to your Unity preferences, so Unity preferences, and then go into your external tools, and then copy and paste this right in here into the SDK line. So this is the first thing that we need to know, or that we need to install, is the path to the Android SDK, but we also need to install the path to the JDK. And this is could be a little bit more tricky, since there isn't per se an application that you can open up and that you can go to the preferences and figure out that path. But if you're on the Macintosh, for you it should be, the first part of this should be library Java virtual machines, and then it becomes a little bit more specialized based on the version of the JDK that you have installed on your machine. So what I would recommend is you would basically type in this first part of the path, library Java virtual machines, and then figure out what the last part of this path looks like for your specific machine. So again, I will post a link to this first part of this path name in the comments section of this video, so you can get started, and then you can figure out, following this workshop, how to get to the rest of this path. It will be slightly different for the PC, and so I will put the start for the path on the PC, the URL or the path name, into the comments as well, and you can also start looking for your JDK that way on if you're working on a PC for this workshop. I copy this, library Java virtual machines, and then I would need to go back to the Finder, and then in the Finder in the Macintosh, I would just simply say go to folder, and then type in this first part of the path to the JDK library, Java virtual machines, hit go, and then you will already see the next part of the path is your actual JDK. So you click on that. Then it is contents, and then it is home. So the thing that changes here based on your version of the JDK is basically just the name of this folder here. So you would take the name of this folder, go back to Unity, and then put it right behind Java virtual machines, right here in this part. And then the rest should stay the same, \contents \home. So that's all you would have to do. Put this in here under JDK in the external tools. Can close this, and then we're back in our build settings. So just like for the iOS builds, we also need to quickly check the player settings for Android. So we hit that button and then check on the right-hand side in our properties inspector what we need to change in here. And so there aren't too many things. Again, resolution and presentation can stay the same. The icon, this is something that I did specifically for this little workshop here as well, is I created my own icon. Since I have quite a few target images that are being augmented by a cornstalk, then I thought I would have this little ear of corn as an icon that I can start the app with. So you see for Android, we have all of these different sizes here as well. So this is based on your screen resolution and based on the actual Android operating system. And I just created these icons in Photoshop. I used the PNG file format, so I could have a nice transparency. So basically make the icon round instead of being square. So any transparency you have in a PNG image will be applied to your icon as well. And then I just made individual ones for all of these different resolutions. So you can just hit select if you wanted to choose your individual icon, and then go to your assets list and then choose the one that you want to use for that. Okay, so this is fairly easy. The last thing I need to check is in the other settings that I have a unique package name again. This is again in the reverse DNS order. So com comes first, com dot, and then comes your developer name or your company name. In my case, I put dot Fab Winkler, and then dot, and then comes the name of your Unity app. So I called mine Unity 3D AR. And this goes back up to the product name, so I would make sure that these are pretty much the same. You can't use any underscores though in here. You can use dashes, but that's about it. You can't use any special characters. So if you get an error message that something won't compile or that you have a package name that is incompatible, check it for special characters and make sure that you don't have any in this name. And then the last thing that you also need to choose, or that you need to check at least, is the minimum API level and the target API level. And this is where we connect back to the Android SDK and the installed components for different Android operating systems. So I know that my target API level should be Android 7.0 Nougat. But if you have any other operating system components installed as well, so you can go down to that version of the operating system. So in my case, I could only go down to Android 6.0 Marshmallow as the minimum API level, because that's the last one, or that's the lowest one that I have installed. But if you've installed all the components for all the other Android operating systems, you can actually go down to some quite old Android versions here as well. So that's important too. So make sure your package name is a unique package identifier ID in the reverse DNS style, that your target API level matches that of the operating system on your phone. And I'll show you in just a second when we switch over to the phone view where you can find that. And then the minimum API level depends on how many components for how many different Android systems you have installed on your machine. And then I'm almost about ready to hit the build and run button here. But before I can do that, you need to do a couple of things on your Android phone. So I'll switch over to the Android view in a second here. First thing I need to do is I need to go into the settings of the phone and do this by clicking down here onto the settings. And then in the settings, I need to scroll all the way down to the bottom of this list, and then I need to click the About Phone entry here. And there you also need to go all the way to the bottom where you see the build number. And in fact, on this page, you also see the version of your Android operating system, which is version number 7. So it's right up here, this one. But we are interested in the build number, and we need to click this 7 times in order to become a developer. It sounds almost like a kind of a magic incantation that we have to perform here, but it actually works. So I'm already a developer, so if I start to tap it, it says, well, no need, you are already a developer. But if you do this for the first time, you will actually see after you tap 4 times, there's a little countdown that says you're 3 taps away from becoming a developer, 2 taps away, 1 tap away. And then when you are a developer, it will also give you a little message in saying that you are now a developer for this phone, specifically for this device. All right, after you've done this, you would need to go back 1 level in your settings. You see that now we have the developer options on this page that are accessible, and you need to click on that. And you need to make sure that in these developer options, first of all, at the top of this page, that they're turned on. And then specifically, we are interested in the debugging mode, that USB debugging is turned on as well. So make sure that both of these things are on. We don't really need any of the other settings. And then your phone is ready for the upload of the Unity app. Also, maybe one more word about developer options. It's actually not a good idea to keep them on all the time. So I would really only do that, turn them on when you upload new software to your phone, new apps that you have developed in Unity. And then for the rest of the time, I would actually turn these off. Okay, we're back in Unity in our build settings, and since we have enabled our Android device, became a developer, and we turned on the USB debugging mode on it, we have installed our Android SDK and incorporated the path to it into Unity. We also installed the Java Developer Kit, the JDK, and incorporated the path into Unity. We can now finally hit the Build and Run button and upload the app to our phone. So first ask me where I want to save the Android file that I'm creating. And since I've tried this out before already, I just say, yes, I want to replace this. It will upload it. And then if you see on your phone, and I'll switch over to this view in just a second, when it is done compiling, you'll see the app already opening up automatically for you and hopefully giving you access to the built-in camera and starting to track your image targets already. So this is it for today. I hope you were able to follow along and get your Unity 3D Vuforia app successfully uploaded onto your Android mobile device.